Good evening, Barnard College and distinguished guests. Welcome to Barnard's 129th Commencement Ceremony. Please welcome Professor of Political Science and the 2021 College Marshal, Séverine Autesser, and the President of Barnard College, Sion Leah Bylock.
Madam President, I have the honor to present to you and members of the Board of Trustees, the faculty, and the class of 2021 of Barnard College, who have assembled today for the annual presentation of degree candidates.
I am pleased to declare this 129th ceremony of the presentation of Barnard degree candidates now open. It is now my honor to present Cheryl Milstein, Chair of the Barnard Board of Trustees, who brings greetings from the board.
Good evening. I'm Cheryl Milstein, alumna from the class of 1982, exceedingly proud parent of an alumna from the class of 2014, and Chair of the Barnard Board of Trustees. I am honored to bring you greetings from the board and to offer our excited, admiring, full-hearted congratulations to the graduating class of 2021. I wish I could be celebrating with you in person. That goes without saying. Like everyone, I quickly got used to Zoom with a few tech bumps along the way, but I was never worried when it came to the students and faculty at Barnard, and especially to the class of 2021. If any school could pull off an academic experience as outstanding as ever during the pandemic, it was Barnard. And if any group of students could continue to make their mark on the campus, in our community, and in the world, it was you. You're Barnard students, after all. No group on earth is more capable of turning lemons into sparkling lemonade. And no administrators, faculty, or staff could provide fresher ingredients or a more comfortable, welcoming setting to enjoy it in. On a more serious note, I know that the last year has been difficult in so many ways, and that none of you expected or hoped to have a senior year full of virtual classes and strictly socially distanced activities. As terrible as COVID was, we all maintained hope that we could be together again in person soon. But even though that didn't come to pass, what you have been able to accomplish this year, and more than that, what you have been able to reimagine and create is nothing less than awe-inspiring. Your collective legacy to Barnard will be transformative. It already is. I'll leave it to others today to talk more specifically about the specific transformations you made possible. But I want to take a moment just to say thank you. Thank you for showing us the expanse of the possible and for teaching us all so much about resilience, passion, and the true meaning of community. Barnard is stronger because of you. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon, in person or on Zoom, at alumni events, reunions, and other Barnard gatherings. Although your senior year was not what you expected, your Barnard experience is far from over. You will have a lifetime of chances to keep taking advantage of all that the college has to offer. Trust me, I know from experience, it is so worth it. Until then, good luck and Godspeed.
Please welcome Provost and Dean of the Faculty, Linda A. Bell.
Good evening. The week leading up to commencement is typically a whirlwind of mixed emotion. Sadness at reaching the conclusion to such a formative period, relief at having crossed the finish line, excitement for what comes next, and a frenzy and joy associated with that emotion that makes the campus hum, well, really buzz. And that's all in a normal year. Most certainly, the months since early 2020 until today have carried their own tumult of emotion, their own sense of uncertainty, their own outcry for change. Our lives have been upended and for some, ripped apart. Your experience of living and working together on our beautiful campus has been inextricably altered, and the social fabric of what defines your life as a Barnard student interrupted. And yet you marched on, and yet you adjusted, and yet, class of 2021, in your unique way, you have thrived. This year, at this very special moment, it is particularly important that we stand together, albeit virtually, in celebration of graduation, holding back the surrounding noise and turmoil of the world for just a short while to look with pride and wonder on what you have accomplished. And while I miss profoundly the sea of blue that accompanies your walk across the stage at commencement, we are, in fact, together remotely to celebrate you. For yours, class of 2021 is truly a remarkable and distinguished collective story of care, of persistence, of resilience, and of resolve. Commencement is a point of inflection as you, our graduates, stand on the brink of something entirely new. Barnard has grown you, and you will continue to grow. You have been trained from the very first days you arrived at Barnard to value and to perform critical thinking. Your professors taught you to read texts and to craft analyses that looked beyond the familiar or the received interpretation, to reject the static singularity of a dominant voice, and to challenge what might have once been deemed resolved. Your Barnard education has taught you to question authority, to challenge myth, and to insist in all measure on truth. Through the exercise of time, you've learned what it means to be strong and resilient, to power through confusion and uncertainty, to find new ways towards achieving your goals, and most importantly, to model in your daily lives a feminist ethic of care that requires us to treat the well-being of others as an obligation, a requirement, an issue of justice. Without the familiar center of our physical campus, you recreated togetherness upon something much less tangible, relying on trust, on memory, on resolve, on care, and on courage. It is poet Rita Dove who wrote, and I'll quote, "Courage has nothing to do with determination to be great. It has to do with what we decide in that moment when we are called upon to be more." As we stand with you on the brink of new directions, I ask you to summon the courage you have demonstrated in full measure these last many months. I have confidence in and admiration for the hearts and minds of this class, and for what you will create, what you will strive for, what you will accomplish. The unique and varied ways in which you will do more. You are so impressively brilliant and strong, Barnard graduates. Whether in your professional career or your civic life or your academic pursuits, however defined, remember that roadblocks are, in fact, just an essential part of the journey. An opportunity to pause, an occasion to reflect, a critical moment to revisit the pathways. Barnard graduates of the class of 2021, you are and will forever be a special class, wrought of adversity and distinguished through your accomplishment. On behalf of your faculty who have taught you, inspired you, and watched you grow, I wish you wonderful adventures, significant accomplishments, and a long, fulfilling, and happy journey. Warmest congratulations, Barnard class of 2021.
Good afternoon, trustees, President Bylock, faculty, deans, families, special guests, and the class of 2021. My name is Finesia Farrell, and as a member of the class of 2021, There is no doubt in my mind that attending Barnard College has changed my life for the better. To no fault of Barnard, grief and loss are defining factors of the class of 2021 experience. In the last 4 years, we experienced the passing of valuable members of our community and the birth of the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't bring up these moments to tear down our special day, but if we're honest, we will never be able to look back at our college experience without remembering these events. When I was 13, I experienced my first major loss, my childhood home. We've all experienced loss in different ways, whether that's mental health challenges, the loss of loved ones, or a physical space. Why Barnard? My application asked. Because visiting campus was the first time since my house burned down that I felt at home. 4 years later, on the exact day that we lost our family home, I received my Barnard acceptance letter. Barnard instilled hope that things would be different, and they were. The Barnard community became my home. When I arrived at Barnard, I met people who experienced grief and loss from radically different backgrounds. I found solace in these relationships. When Dean Alicia Lawrence, a woman who blessed my life and countless other students, passed away, a collective organically formed to advocate in her legacy. When Tess Majors, a student in her first semester, passed away, alumni filled our dorm with handwritten cards, and hundreds of students stood together for her service. When COVID arrived, our alumni gathered once again to help. I may have experienced loss before, but this time I was not alone. If I know anything about my peers, it's that we care about people and the world around us. The past 4 years have been as beautiful as they've been difficult. But I know if we can graduate from one of the most academically rigorous colleges in the world during a pandemic, there is nothing we can't do. This isn't the senior year I would have written. If it were up to me, I would be slinging my boba and running out of my Soul's Tower room as I rushed to see a play downtown. Every instance of adversity we have experienced has been unjust, but I know I am fortunate to have had the Barnard community through these times. When I would walk on campus this semester and feel COVID senior angst, I found hope in the laughter and presence of my socially distanced peers. I think back to freshman year Phanesia, who was idealistic and sweet and full of life. I look at myself now, tired, brilliant, and ready. Both are valid. I have learned that there is no answer to solve grief. It is here and it isn't likely to go away. But as we move forward as alumni, we can be assured that the friendships, lessons, and care that are essential to the class of 2021 will never be lost. Thank you. And congratulations to the class of 2021.
In 1931, Barnard established the Frank Gilbert Bryson Prize to recognize the senior who receives the most votes of her classmates for her contribution to Barnard during her college years. In keeping with tradition, no one in the class, including the recipient, knows the outcome of the balloting until it is announced at this ceremony. This year's Bryson Prize is awarded to Solace Mensa Nar. In the past, our recipient would be asked to stand and be recognized by our audience. Although you may not be able to hear the resounding cheers of your classmates, Solace, I hope that you can still relish in this wonderful achievement. It is a well-deserved honor. On behalf of the entire Barnard community, congratulations.
The Barnard community continues to feel deeply saddened by the tragic loss of our beloved Deputy Dean, Alicia Lawrence, just over a year ago. To celebrate Alicia's life, the Board of Trustees has established a tribute in her name in appreciation of the extraordinary impact she had on the students during her all too brief time at Barnard. On behalf of the board, it is my great honor to present two of today's graduating seniors with the Alicia Lawrence Memorial Award. These were the criteria. 1, a campus leader who supports and advocates for historically marginalized communities, particularly those marginalized because of their racial identity. 2, demonstrates a commitment to advancing social justice at Barnard. 3, has worked in and out of the classroom to inspire and engage their peers. And 4, exemplifies the value of the late Alicia Lawrence and honors her memory by leading with light and strength. High bars, but easily reached and exceeded by our outstanding recipients, Phoenicia Farrell and Fatima Burgos Enriquez. Phoenicia is an award-winning playwright who, in the words of Barnard professor Mary Rocco, quote, uses her voice and pen to advocate for and amplify underrepresented voices. As a first-year student, Phoenicia founded the Bold, Beautiful Black at Barnard initiative to address and increase inclusion on campus. Off campus, she designed and carried out a summit on educational justice, which drew over 125 women attendees. And in Professor Rocco's Urban Studies class, Phoenicia developed a podcast that explored inequality across charter schools in New Orleans through interviews with local community members. Fatima, who was one of the women Alicia often described as her little sister, has served as president of Mujeres, Barnard's student organization centering on Latinx women since the fall of 2019. She spent many months organizing and collaborating with leadership to secure a safe space on campus for Mujeres. Fatima's presence alone is a safe space, according to Interim Director for Residential Life and Housing, Lizeth Hamarillo, who says that Fatima uses her own story and experiences as a child of immigrants and a first-generation college student to help others embrace their own unique cultures and identities. Both Phoenicia and Fatima were singled out by their nominators for being voices of compassion for fellow students, for prioritizing the voices of marginalized groups, and for selflessly expanding opportunities for all. Few were prouder of them than Alicia, and few honor her legacy more. Congratulations, Phoenicia and Fatima.
Good evening, trustees, President Bylock, deans, faculty, families, friends, special guests, and of course, the class of 2021. My name is Elizabeth Beer. This might come as a surprise to many of you because I used to be so afraid of letting this define me. I saw it as my greatest weakness, and it somehow made me feel lesser than. So I never spoke about it unless you were in my inner circle. You might be confused. Let me rewind. Early in my senior year of high school, I was felled by blinding headaches, muscle weakness, and brain fog. After a long and tumultuous road and countless misdiagnoses and doctor's visits, I finally received a diagnosis of neurological Lyme disease. But the road back was bumpy. I always prided myself on my leadership and advocacy for others. After receiving this diagnosis, I didn't want my identity or how I defined myself to change. I thought it would make me weaker. Yet my illness ironically made me stronger. My illness sparked my curiosity and my determination to protect and advocate for others who have struggled as I have, which is a huge reason why I entered Barnard as a neuroscience major and chose to become an Athena Scholar. As a neuroscience major, I sought to understand what happens in the brain that makes each person's psychological response different. I always ask why, and the neuroscience department encourages my unending questions. I wanted to make it my mission to teach others what happens inside the body when we get sick, and inspire new scientific leaders unencumbered by gender, class, race, sexual orientation, or disability. Through Barnard's Athena Scholars Program, I was given the platform to achieve my mission. Athena helped me develop the skills necessary to develop, research, and create a sitcom. I decided to create a sitcom actually because of what I've learned in my neuroscience lectures. Neuroscience studies show that learning through humor enhances learning and memory. So I began conducting research and reaching out to professors such as Professors Bauer, Snow, Merrer, Worthen, and Cleary, just to name a few, many who also supported me when I had flare-ups from Lyme. I also learned from my Barnard education and my Athena studies that teamwork makes the dream work. So I reached out to my freshman year biology lab partner and study buddy, Ariana Chubak. I am now proud to say that together, with the support and guidance from faculty and staff from Athena, we have developed a sitcom called The Addams Bunch, which is meant to inspire a new generation of scientists that are made up of people from all backgrounds. And we're in conversation with multimedia conglomerates to produce it. Social change comes in many forms, and the best leaders and advocates leverage their unique change-making skill sets, welcome new methods from others, and willingly adjust how they engage in making change if doing so becomes advantageous. I never thought that I would be able to continue being a leader, and a better leader at that, because of the assumptions society makes about people who struggle with illness. But a Barnard education, our amazing faculty, and programs like Athena teaches us to control our own narratives and, more importantly, find strength in them. Barnard's interactive and multidisciplinary approach to education cultivates leadership and inspires us to embrace our own unique identities. I have grown so much throughout my time at Barnard, and I could never be more thankful. To the strong, bold, and inspiring women of the class of 2021, you have helped shape who I am and all that I was able to accomplish. Thank you. And thank you, deans and professors and everyone at Barnard for helping me reach the feat that I never truly thought possible. Majoring in Unafraid.
Good evening, President Bylock, Provost Bell, esteemed faculty and staff, friends and family, and of course, the class of 2021. My name is Ohana Mohammed.
And my name is Julia Betancourt, and we are your senior fund representatives for the class of 2021. We would first like to congratulate our class on graduating, especially in light of the extraordinary circumstances we have all lived through. Throughout the past 4 years, we have said that we are bold, beautiful Barnard. But today, we'd like to add to that. We are bold, beautiful, brave Barnard. Throughout the past year and a half, we have faced challenges that nobody else alive had ever faced before. And yet, we not only met them, but we didn't let them stop us from moving forward, even from graduating. Our bravery, strength, and resilience is a testament to the kind of person being in this Barnard community has made us.
The Barnard community is incredibly unique, as we have all learned from our experiences through the years together. We're a small community with great strength and ability to overcome many challenges through our time together. Being part of a small liberal arts college, especially one full of women and minorities, puts us in a very special position with a vast network of individuals who shared this incredible experience of attending Barnard. Squished between a few blocks in New York City, the Barnard experience is also much more than just what we experience within our campus. We are all incredibly lucky to experience some of the formative years of our lives, transitioning from teenage years to adulthood in one of the most flourishing and culturally rich cities in the world. Instead of being stuck in a college bubble, we're able to enjoy the New York City life while also obtaining a world-class education. The academic experience at Barnard and our relationship with Columbia University also makes Barnard one of the most unique places to go to college. We each have been blessed with the opportunity to speak, work, and learn from professors who are at the forefront of their disciplines. We were also privileged to work with faculty from both Barnard College and Columbia University, which allowed us to gain the small liberal arts college experience while also experiencing what it's like to attend a large, prominent research institution.
With our senior gift, we hope to make our small liberal arts college more accessible to all students, regardless of ability or background. This year, the Senior Fund seeks to support FLI, the first-generation low-income library, which provides first-generation and low-income students with textbooks for their courses, and CARDS, the Center for Accessibility Resources and Disability Services, which ensures that students with disabilities receive the services and support they require throughout their 4 years at Barnard. Because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, many students supported by these campus organizations have struggled to manage remote classes and have relied on these services even more heavily. Speaking as a CARDS registered student, I can say that without the dedication of the CARDS staff, surviving this year, as well as the 3 before, would have been incredibly difficult. I imagine that other CARDS registered students feel the same way, and that students benefiting from the FLI library are similarly grateful for all they have done. We, the class of 2021, hope to support students who require these essential services to ensure equitable access on our campus. This year, because the COVID-19 pandemic has affected so many of our lives, we have also sought ways to give back to the Barnard community in addition to giving a one-time monetary contribution. To this end, we have organized a book drive held during the week of April 15 through the 20th to benefit the FLI library. We have collected over 40 lightly used textbooks so that students in need can have access to course materials they require for their classes. We are also organizing a panel called Advice from CARDS Seniors, during which members of the class of 2021 will speak about their own experiences as disabled students on campus to help underclassmen learn about the challenges students with disabilities face. Through this event, which will take place on May 12 at 5 p.m., we will be raising awareness for campus accessibility and disability advocacy.
Our mission is not done. The Senior Fund is still accepting donations through June 30th of this year. Any gift, large or small, will help the students who receive services from the FLI library and CARDS. To the class of 2021, this is your chance to pay it forward so that Barnard students can have an even better opportunity and resources during their time in college. I know that with the current state of the global economy, it can be hard to donate money, but for anyone who has the means, we strongly urge you to do so. Now more than ever, the money we raise for the FLI library and CARDS will help them to continue their missions and to even grow and expand their efforts. CARDS and the FLI library will still be helping out students during the summer semester and beyond. Your support will help them with their immediate projects they will be working on after commencement, so we can continue to give back to these college resources.
It is very rare in life that we are presented with an opportunity to return the support and goodwill we have so generously been given. Now, as our final gift before graduating from bold, beautiful, brave Barnard, we ask that you continue to support Barnard College and our Senior Fund mission of equity on campus. Thank you.
Good evening to the class of 2021, friends, family, and everyone watching around the world. My name is Nora Hassan, and I am the senior class president. It is an honor to be delivering this speech on behalf of the Student Government Association and the Senior Class Council, and it's been a real honor and privilege to serve as your senior class president this past year and on SGA throughout my time here at Barnard. When I reflect on the past 4 years at Barnard, and what our time at Barnard has meant to me, I am immediately drawn to the ideas of community and service. In 2017, we entered a Barnard and a world that does not look like how it does today. The Milstein Center was not open, our library was Lafrac, and we had to cross scaffolding in order to get from one side of campus to the other. 4 years later, the campus has changed, and so has the world we find ourselves in. The pandemic has left our class physically separated from one another. Some of us are living in the dorms, some in apartments close by with friends, or others with family throughout the country and around the world. And the pandemic has uprooted and altered our lives in many ways. For our class, this has meant a senior year unlike any in Barnard history. It's meant being separated from our friends, professors, mentors, and the campus that we imagined ourselves to be spending our senior year in. Given the state of this past year, it's easy to feel a sense of loss and nostalgia for what could have been, missing the year-end traditions that we wish we had, classes we wish to be experiencing in person, studying or lack thereof in the Milstein study rooms with our friends, and generally reminiscing on our time before the pandemic on campus, wishing we could go back to that. It's true that a lot has changed in the past 4 years. But something that I believe has remained the same is our unwavering commitment to serving our community and cultivating a community within our class, whether that be on campus or in our new virtual setting. And it is for this reason that I have always been and always will be inspired by our class. From day one on campus, we've remained committed to standing for what we believe in. We hold ourselves, our classmates, the community, the college, and the administration to a high standard, and one where prejudice and forms of exclusion are not tolerated. Even from our 4 years on campus, our impact has been felt, and our legacy will certainly live on. Our class has been central and the leading force behind many monumental changes at Barnard, such as the creation of the Fly Network Lending Library, the expansion of services and programs for mental and physical health, the opening of the Muslim prayer space that I had the honor to work on, and greater inclusion outside and inside of the classroom. Overall, we have enhanced the lives of marginalized communities through providing space and resources and including the voices of those that have been historically excluded. These are just some of the examples of how we've continuously put inclusion and equity first, and in doing so, created a space and a legacy where all student voices are heard, celebrated, and welcomed. Most importantly, we have led with kindness and a genuine belief that we all belong. As student leaders and activists on campus, we have raised the standard of all organizations we've been a part of, and in doing so, permanently changed Barnard for the better. So this is what I charge my fellow seniors with here today. I urge you all to continue to put inclusion, equity, and a commitment to changing the world for the better at the forefront of all the work you continue to do. Through everything we have learned inside the classroom at Barnard, we are undoubtedly ready to enter a world with many unknowns. Our liberal arts degree will equip us with the tools and knowledge to create a world where equality and freedom can be lived by all. We must continue to take action, as we've done during our time at Barnard, as we create a campus culture that is reflective of the racial, religious, and gender diversity that our school and the world holds. I urge you then to always remember that intersectional feminism and racial justice is needed in every space to create this better world. So, in a world that is constantly changing, I hope you take these skills and the assurance that although unknowns and fear might come our way, we must remain committed to our own morals and grounded in the knowledge that we've gained from our time at Barnard. Our class has had a deep impact on this college, as the college has had on us, and I'm confident that these experiences will guide you and inspire you in your life post-graduation. Through your tireless efforts, the Barnard community has been more equitable and will be forever changed today and throughout the future. Now, looking forward to our next step as we graduate, let's continue to work together to create a future where all people in every part of the world are free and continue this fight together. Thank you, and congratulations to my class, the incredible class of 2021.
We now turn to one of the most important moments of our commencement, the presentation of the Barnard Medals of Distinction to individuals who represent the college's ideals of excellence, innovation, intellectual curiosity, and service.
My name is Tirza Anderson. I'm a Chickasaw and Choctaw Freedman and a Barnard Senior in the History Department. I'm honored to present the citation to Rebecca Nagel and to acknowledge the Barnard College is located in Lenape-Hoking, the traditional territory of the Lenape people and a place of long-standing importance to Native peoples from the region and around the world. We give honor to the Indigenous peoples of this place, past, present, and future, and recognize their displacement, dispossession, and continued presence. Rebecca Nagel, author, teacher, performance artist, Indigenous and women's rights activist, fearless upsetter. Upsetter, I'm borrowing, of course, from the name of one of your most visible projects, Force, Upsetting Rape Culture, an art and activist collective you co-founded and co-directed dedicated to ending sexual violence. To upset in this case means more than to disrupt. With the creative and deliberate use of radical public art, online campaigns, and direct action, you and your fellow upsetters set out to turn rape culture in upon itself by offering empowering antidotes and a clear alternative, a culture of active, joyous, necessary consent. This approach was exemplified by your hijacking of a Victoria's Secret campaign to sell a line of underwear with problematic slogans by inventing a line of your own with phrases like "no means no." In another force, tour de force, you displayed dozens of red quilts on Washington, D.C.'s National Mall, each comprising the stories of hundreds of rape and sexual violence survivors. The project may have upset some onlookers while upsetting the narrative of privacy and shame, and that was part of the point. You have built a legacy of bringing long-held secrets into the open, forcing the world to confront them and upsetting our complacency enough to bring about change. In this sense, you have never caused more upset than you have with your podcast, This Land. This Land grew out of an opinion piece you wrote for the Washington Post about a Supreme Court case, a murder trial that had the potential to lead to the formal restoration of tribal sovereignty over nearly half of Oklahoma's land. In 8 packed and brilliant episodes, you not only detailed the facts, context, and potential consequences of the case, you did so by examining the United States' difficult and complex history concerning tribal lands, and by telling the stories of the people it affected, including your own ancestors. You upset the quiet this history has been trapped in, and your reporting arguably influenced the ruling in a related case in 2020 that resulted in a win for Native rights. It also happens to be personal. You're a proud citizen of the Cherokee Nation, and you identify as a two-spirit queer woman. In your day job, you work to revitalize the Cherokee Nation, and as a writer and podcaster, you illuminate contemporary Native realities for all to see. A survivor yourself, you advocate fiercely to end violence against women, and especially Native women, who are 2.5 times more likely to be raped or abused. And you do it all with passion, humor, intellectual clarity, tactical precision, and tireless dedication. As you urge at the end of This Land, we are certainly paying attention. Rebecca Nagel, for bravely upsetting expectations about what we think we know about our past and our present, for your determined quest to make what is sometimes invisible visible, it is my pleasure to present you with a 2021 Barnard Medal of Distinction.
Uli helisti, digi squadiski, Wadon, Barnard College, Gohus, Akinela, Ijalije. Congratulations to the class of 2021. I am so humbled to be part of your day and to be honored in this way. Thank you.
I am Brianna Johnson, a member of the class of 2021, in theater and Africana studies. Okwi Okpokwasili, choreographer, performer, collaborator, genre buster. The daughter of Nigerian immigrants born and raised in the Bronx, you have created gorgeous, complex, hypnotically experimental works of dance, theater, movement, and sound. Total experiences that reach across psychic and geographical borders and transport us without ever leaving the room. You do so neither broadly nor didactically, but at a precise and at the same time ambiguous slant, breaking down the barrier between performer and audience to help us reveal buried truths. I want people to know that when they encounter my work, that they should be comfortable with doubt and some confusion, you've said. That doubt and confusion might generate a sense of memory of turbulent female adolescence, as they do in Bronx Gothic, your astounding one-woman show that the New Yorker Hilton Alls called a tour de force on the order of Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye, and which became the subject of a major documentary film. I was inspired, you said, to think about how young women, particularly young women in inner cities, grow up and discover themselves as sexual beings. Or the doubt and confusion might spark the imaginations of all the girls who saw Adaku's Revolt, one of the several projects you've collaborated on with your husband, Peter Bourne, about a Black girl whose challenges enforced beauty standards by refusing to straighten or change her natural hair. Or, as in Poor People's TV Room, that doubt and confusion might summon up the ghosts of African women whose agency and resistance have been historically and culturally subsumed into victim narratives. By exploring the collectivity of a multi-generational group of brown women, you attune us to the forces of past women's lives that reside within us. Anti-colonial women's protest movements in Africa also inspired your most recent work, a 30-performer practice and installation piece called Sitting on a Man's Head. Though its debut was cut short by COVID-19, its themes of connection, redemption, and restoration have become more urgent than ever. Dance Magazine could have not been more prescient when in 2019, they called you just the kind of artist we need today. And the MacArthur Foundation also knew what they were doing when they honored you with the prestigious 2018 Genius Grant, one of just 25 given that year. Fortunately, just before the COVID shutdown, you had also just released your first album of songs, Day Pulls Down the Sky, a glorious way for us to stay connected to your art until we can see you again on stage and screen. You've said that the thing you love is going into a space where the audience and yourself can be deeply entangled with each other, and that you're hoping to never, ever be satisfied, or finished, or done. We hope the same. Okwi Okpokwasili, for entangling us with you and your incomparable talent, uncompromising vision, and deeply human artistry. It is my great pleasure to present you with a 2021 Barnard Medal of Distinction.
Well, thank you, Brianna. You have made me shy. You have made me blush. Some of you may not see it, but I feel it. Thank you. I hope that I can continue to work in this moment, and I hope I'm working in a moment where we're all understanding how deeply we need each other, how deeply our survival is entangled with each other. So thank you, thank you.
Hi, my name is Dominique Macaluso, a Barnard senior studying chemistry. I am honored to present this citation to Miriam Morgenstein Sarachik. Miriam Morgenstein-Sarachik, research scientist, professor of physics, pioneer, and pathbreaker. You were born in Belgium to Orthodox Jewish parents and escaped the Nazis with them, though not before being held for a period in concentration camps. You lived as a refugee and schoolgirl in Cuba, then came to New York and attended first Bronx High School of Science and then Barnard as a member of the class of 1954. If women in physics are enormously underrepresented today, they were practically unheard of back then. Though not immune to the insecurities that evoked, you've said that for years you never dared ask questions in class for fear of appearing stupid. The joy of discovery and your drive to know more and more and more ultimately won out. You took inspiration from another Barnard student, one of the tiny handful of women physics majors in all of Barnard or Columbia during your undergraduate years. She's just doing it, you said about her decision to pursue a PhD. If she can do it, why can't I? By the time you did it too, earning your PhD from Columbia, you were still being told by male colleagues and potential employers to limit your ambitions. But after briefly putting your career on hold to raise a baby, you had long had enough. You wouldn't just prove them all wrong by becoming a working physicist and scholar, you would change the field forever. You threw every obstacle aside until you were finally offered a job at IBM, then at Bell Labs. Once there, you wasted no time diving into research that would lead to a groundbreaking discovery. Routinely measuring how changing temperatures affected electrical resistance, you noticed something your colleagues didn't, that in the presence of magnetized iron, resistance increased as temperatures fell, an observation seemingly at odds with the basic laws of physics. The discovery confirmed what would become a central tenet concerning the behavior of electrons, the Kondo effect, named not for you, the one who proved it, but for the male theorist with the public platform to explain it. Not only were you denied recognition, you were denied job renewal at Bell. But you refused to give up your dreams and even turned down the rare jobs you were later offered because they didn't come with the title or pay a man would receive. Finally, you accepted a position as an assistant professor at the City College of New York of CUNY. You shot through the ranks, eventually becoming a distinguished professor, the highest honor CUNY bestows on its faculty. Along the way, you established a low-temperature laboratory and kept proving the seemingly unprovable, making earth-shattering discoveries in quantum mechanics, metallic conduction, and more. You have served as an advisor to many top-level government agencies, universities, and science organizations. And as the member of several human rights committees, you have helped preserve the rights of women and scientists here and around the world. For all this and more, you have won countless awards, including the 2020 Medal for Exceptional Achievement in Research, the American Physical Society's highest honor. Miriam Sarachik, today, it's our turn to join the Better Late Than Never Club by proudly and with enormous humility and appreciation presenting you with a 2021 Barnard Medal of Distinction.
I thank you. I thank Barnard for giving me the broad education that prepared me and the courage to attempt to do what I did. Thank you.
Now, I have the great honor of presenting the citation for Christiane Amanpour. Christiane Amanpour, reporter, chronicler, and humanitarian. Arguably our most renowned international journalist, you have helped us measure the weight of each moment in history through incisive critique, hard-hitting investigation, and an empathetic eye for the personal realities behind political sagas. You listen astutely to those around you and take their insights to heart, even when it means changing your own perspective. You have helped us better understand the causes and effects of war and religious strife, and the value of seeking truth above all. And you have inspired countless young people, especially women and girls, to demand a seat for themselves in the room where it happens, as journalists, activists, and leaders of every stripe. Ironically, you never dreamed as a girl of making such demands for yourself. Your early years were spent in England and Iran, where at the age of 20, only one thing felt certain, that you would marry early, stay in Iran, and continue to live a relatively sheltered life. Fate intervened in two dramatic ways. First, The Iranian Revolution threw you and your family into the center of global politics. Facing hardship and fear for the first time, you committed yourself to do more than survive it. You decided to play a permanent role in international conflict, not as a victim, you said, but as a storyteller. The second turn of fate was your decision to take your sister's place at a journalism college in London after she dropped out, so that your family wouldn't forfeit the tuition. From then on, a sheltered life was permanently out of the picture. You started at CNN as an entry-level assistant with a suitcase, a bicycle, and about $100. You rose through the organization, eventually becoming the network's leading international correspondent. Your uncompromising approach made you an audience favorite and somewhat feared by the most powerful people in the world. When Newsweek called you must-see TV, it wasn't just a slogan. You have reported from the aftermaths of our most devastating humanitarian crises and national disasters. And no one has been a better guide to the modern story of Iraq. You have documented its volatile complexities and their effects on its people and the world for more than 3 decades. On the ground, during the siege of Sarajevo and the Bosnian War, you exposed the daily tragedy of life for civilians and spoke out against ethnic cleansing and human rights abuses. You stood firm in the face of criticism, saying, there are some situations one simply cannot be neutral about, because when you are neutral, you are an accomplice. You've had private audiences with heads of states after nearly every major election, demonstration, or outbreak of violence, and even after an occasional World Cup defeat. You are courageously outspoken about human rights advocacy for women and girls, and you bring international attention to the rights of journalists. As CNN's chief international anchor and host of the network's flagship global affairs program, Amanpour, you have recently brought truly global perspectives to the COVID-19 pandemic, linking science to politics and telling the story of COVID in startlingly profound and personal ways. You have won every major television journalism award, most often more than once. You took home your 12th Emmy in September. And in 2007, you were named a CBE, the highest ranking order of the British Empire, for your services to journalism. And I am honored to award you once more. Christiane Amanpour, for telling the stories of our world with bravery, conviction, and humanity, it is my great pleasure to present you with the 2021 Medal of Distinction.
Thank you for that introduction. And let me just start by saying I feel really at home because generations of my son's family on his father's side have been Barnard and Columbia alums. So thanks for having me today. I'm delighted to follow in the footsteps of distinguished commencement speakers past. And I'm also happy to address you as you take this step out of college and hopefully out of COVID to meet the challenges of managing life with all that you've had to learn throughout this pandemic. Now, because I'm talking to you, Barnard women, let me start with feminism and this advice from the wonderfully wise Chilean writer Isabel Allende, whom I recently interviewed. This is what she said. What is my definition of feminism? It is not what we have between our legs, but what we have between our ears. It's a philosophical posture and an uprising against male authority. It's a way of understanding human relations and a way to see the world. It's a commitment to justice and a struggle for the emancipation of women, the LGBTQIA+ community, anyone oppressed by the system, including some men, and all others who want to join. So, from that I know that feminism is just another word for inclusivity, equity and equality. It is not a dirty word, it's not aggressive, and it's not exclusionary, quite the opposite. Now, with those values in mind and armed with the resilience and everything else that you've learned this past year, resolve then to be rebels, to fight against injustice, to make good trouble, as Congressman John Lewis always said. Reject patriarchal dominance, but accept and work with all allies in the struggle for gender and sexual justice, the struggle for racial justice, and also economic justice. Remember, a university setting is possibly the last place and time in your lives that you'll have to face and engage with thoughts and ideas that may sometimes be anathema. I hope that you've learned how to debate and persuade and convince, and that you'll carry that with you throughout life. Don't live by social media alone. It is not real. And please understand that life is not easy. The world does not owe you. It is not because you present for an interview with your shiny new Ivy League diploma that you're going to have instant value. Earn it. Enjoy the striving. Take it from me, that is the very, very best part. So as you can see, I'm speaking to you from my studio, all dressed up with lovely, happy cherry blossoms and lovely lawn to try to get into the spirit, because this is happening online. And of course, I've delivered many commencements, but none quite like this. I am a glass half full optimist, a can-do, daring-do, sometimes inspirer of young people. I own a typical immigrant refugee profile. I ended up in the United States like many of you. I crossed the pond from here in the UK for university over there and to follow my dreams. And guess what? I made it from the very bottom rung right to the top. And I would always tell students like you that a goal, motivation, a mission, hard work, and purpose were the keys. And boy, would I big up the American dream. The last several years have certainly slapped those convictions around a bit, and my belief in America as the incubator and guarantor of these universal ideals: equality, post-racial community, the inevitability of the capitalist system to respond to every citizen's needs. It's even shaken my faith in the inevitable triumph of democracy itself and truth. The lesson is that we must always keep working on it. Your generation and the activism you have demonstrated this year have restored some of my hope, and I believe we can build back on what you have proved, that actually leadership does matter. Respect for the other, respect for history, tolerance, memory, truth, human rights, they all matter. All over the world, young people like you lead the struggle for reform, whether in the USA or in Myanmar in Asia. Right now, it is not clear where that struggle with a military dictatorship will end up, but it is clear that young people and women are on the front lines. They're risking everything every day with their protests for democracy and freedom. And this past terrible COVID year, women have stood up and led with great success, whether female elected leaders from New Zealand to across Europe, whether breaking gender and racial glass ceilings like your own Vice President Kamala Harris, whether in protests on the street, such as the female founders of the Black Lives Matter movement, or protests in the sports arena by female soccer players, tennis stars, the WNBA, and so many others, whether in grocery stores, in hospitals and care homes, from arts to science to economics. This year has seen women and girls lead like never before. So seek them out, know their stories, learn how they did it, what success and failure they encountered along the way. Learn also that they had to struggle to achieve, and there is value in struggle, take it from me, and they are your role models. I believe, just like those emerging from, let's say, World War II, that emerging from what we've all endured over these past years not only gives you resilience, but provides the foundation for a renaissance in every social, political, cultural, and employment arena. Your generation of graduates is poised on that fortunate precipice right now with a practically fresh slate. Everything needs reconstructing, from our interpersonal connections to building a better country, a better world. In a way, it sounds weird, but I actually envy you. Open your eyes and look around. See where you can make a difference with community in mind. Might be in a totally different direction or place than you imagined when you entered as freshmen. Now, I get my inspiration, my information, and yes, even my education from many, many sources. So here, let me quote the boss. I was fascinated to learn recently how Bruce Springsteen's teenage relationship with his guitar formed the basis of his lifelong success and his philosophy of life. First, why the guitar? Because it was the cheapest instrument that he could buy, $18 at the local New Jersey mart, cheaper than a piano or a drum set. But listen to how he describes its transformative impact and what he does with his guitar and his music. He said, "It was both simple and complicated for me. One, it was the only thing I had a deep desire to do. Two, it was an essential element towards building an identity as a man, as an American, as a human being. When I hold the guitar, I don't feel like I'm holding anything. It is just part of my body, just another appendage. When I strap it on, that feels like my natural state." He went on to say, I also built a philosophy about performing. I'm going to give my best to bring out the best in you. And I'm going to send you home with a sense of community and a set of values that may sustain you past the concert. I always make a joke, he said, that I want to come out on stage and change your life. Except it's not really a joke. It is my purpose at night. And Bruce said, I took my job seriously. I'm involved in a ridiculous but noble profession. Graduates, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's how I feel every time I hold a microphone and strap it on, every time I get in front of a camera. They are extensions of my body, of me. And my mission is to talk to people and to try to make the world a better place, to try to make a difference by telling their stories and their truths. And I know how lucky I've been to have entered a noble profession, to find purpose and meaning. So that's my wish for you. And take it from me, my battle against injustice has also made me a pain in the arse to many people, and I'm proud of it. And since I'm quoting a lot here, how about I end with this from a very old horoscope, which I just found literally crumpled up in my Filofax. Yep, I still use a Filofax. Anyway, it says, and I don't know what year it was, this month, all men, all jobs, all trips, all wishes will be yours. Do not make the familiar, pathetic, Capricorny mistake of asking for too little. Your inner shark will lead you. And so, graduates, find your purpose, find your inner pain in wherever, and find your inner shark. Use them wisely and go for it, girls. Bye-bye and good luck.
Congratulations, Barnard class of 2021, congratulations. I've been thinking a long time about what to say to you at the end of this challenging and unprecedented, yet I know at least a little bit hopeful year. What could I possibly leave you with that wouldn't stand out, that would stand out, that you haven't already heard 100 times, that would acknowledge the pandemic and its impact on your senior year without pulling attention away from you and your incredible accomplishments? So I did what I often do. I considered the challenge in light of my training in cognitive science and my research on confronting pressure, fear, and performance anxiety. I also thought back to my own undergraduate days and how I got over my own anxiety. Of course, I certainly didn't have to live through a global pandemic. But when it comes down to it, we know from psychological and neuroscience research that the best strategies to use when facing your fears don't change all that much, regardless of the cause or degree of that fear. Here's an example. When I was in college, I felt very intimidated by my computer science courses. I remember one especially stressful all-nighter I pulled in the computer lab trying to figure out how to program a new programming language. I was one of the 2 women in my class surrounded by 40 or so guys who all at least acted like they completely knew what they were doing. At one particularly low point in the evening, I called my mom on the payphone in the computer lab. Yeah, seriously, no one had cell phones yet. And teared up when she asked me how I was doing. I was ready to quit and change majors because my cognitive science major required an entire year of programming in Lisp, which is now, by the way, a pretty much dead language because it's so frustrating. I told myself, well, this is hopeless, and I thought about giving up. But in the end, I didn't give up. I stuck it out, I worked it out, and by dawn, I had taught myself at least the basics of that programming language. But the most important language I learned that night, and the one that is really stuck, was the language of confidence, of being able to tell myself in any circumstance, under any sort of pressure, no matter how exhausted I am, I've conquered my fears before. I've done what I thought was impossible, and I can do it again. So that's my long preamble to saying this year has tested us again and again, myself included, by throwing the unimaginable in our faces and compelling us to, one way or another, figure it out. And it's taught us not only that we all have the ability to figure it out when we dig in hard enough, but that the practice of performing under pressure makes us stronger. I have little doubt that because of this, you, the extraordinary class of 2021, are the strongest class Barnard has ever sent out into this world. Let's face it, none of us expected a year like this, and none of us wanted a graduation like this. Trust me, I would give anything to be speaking to you in person right now. Not only because I miss you and want to celebrate together, but because I am Exhibit A for the concept of social facilitation. I perform so much better when I'm in the physical presence of others. And that's why I'm so grateful to see so many of our graduates' faces on the large screens in front of me. You're helping me perform at my best. But the unexpected pressure and the exhaustion that comes with it, that you've had to face, is a different nature than mine. Mine comes with the job. You've had to contend with getting through what would already have been amongst the most pressure-filled years of your lives while being bombarded with challenges that none of us had ever faced before, and that really seemed to change day by day. And I know that for some of you, those new challenges were more than pressures. No one was immune to the pandemic's worst outcomes, and the Barnard family was not free from personal tragedies and the loss of loved ones. To those of you who face such loss and are nevertheless graduating with your class today, I salute you with the deepest condolences, warmth, admiration, and respect. For all of today's graduates, in so many ways, the past year has taught us that some fears cannot be avoided. I could have walked away from the computer lab that night and said, forget it, I give up. I could have switched majors. I'm forever proud and grateful that I didn't do any of those things, but the choice was there. But none of us could drop out of COVID. And the constant uncertainty and dreadful unknowns it wrought have real effects on the brain. As Christiane so eloquently reminded us, even if you're an optimist by nature, it's hard to imagine a glass half full when the foundations of the glass itself seem to be cracking and its contents slowly evaporating. And still, you dug in hard and managed to do it. You found ways to seal the glass and preserve all the hope, the activism, the humanity, and even the fun inside it, especially when the contents of the glass were sloshing around more than usual. Reshaping elements of your world, you insisted on a larger glass, new courses, new activities, new forms of connection and outreach that tackled head-on critical questions, like how can we make meaning of this? What are its effects on the most vulnerable and most underserved? How do we prepare for what comes next? You found space to retreat to the empty half of the glass when you needed to catch your breath and restore yourselves, and that's okay. Sometimes you stayed there for a while but got a toe wet. Sometimes you dived straight in and soaked yourself to the bone. Feeling, reacting to, and making the most of all the contradictions, even at the same time, is what made this year so exhausting and also so transformative for you, at least from where I'm standing. You have prevailed in studies and research, in leadership and mentorship, in community care and social justice, at times when you had every reason not to. You were spent. Sometimes you were numb. But you stayed up all night, all year in fact, and conquered it. Your story is without compare. Whenever you find yourself afraid or in doubt of your abilities, just tell yourselves the story of the Barnard class of 2021 and your part in it. Tell it to your friends, your parents, and one day perhaps to your children. I have to admit I struggled with this speech because I really wanted to avoid cliches this year above all others. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that maybe the biggest cliche of all, that you can do anything you set your mind to, has never been more appropriate, because you've already done it. It may be my job to inspire you, but really you've inspired us. You've shown us that we, the Barnard community, can do anything. Thank you for allowing us to envision a greatness and success beyond what we could imagine before. And I'm thrilled to think of what you'll accomplish next. Congratulations, graduates, you did it. It is now my pleasure to welcome to the podium Dean of the College, Leslie Greenidge, who will present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
To the class of 2021, I am honored to be here today to join the administration, the staff, and the faculty of the college in expressing our great pride in your achievements. President Bylock, it is my privilege and pleasure to present to you now the talented, community-minded, gifted, brilliant, spirited, and resilient class of 2021. We will miss this class, but look forward to all they will accomplish in the future. Included are some members of the class on whom the degree was conferred last February. Those who have completed in this term the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, and those who have pledged to complete academic work during the summer. The order of presentation will be by major fields and candidates' names, and photos will be displayed as their names are read. Africana Studies, Asha Futterman. Brianna Johnson. Jasmine Masso. Amanda Perry. Makaria Yami. American Studies, Mayat Bates. Gray Berkowitz. Helena Bridgebasi. Miranda Brown. Hannah Cohen Sidley. Nadira Danticat. Yuval Denor. Ling Grosha. Chu Ying He. Kalina Ko. Sophie Lockman. Michaela Lindsay. Margaret McGuire. Sara Morales. Dariela Morobel Diar. Carista Santos Morochek. Madison Murphy. Elena Perry. Anne-Laure Razat. Hannah Regley. Megan May Rivera. Nikki Samtini. Carmen Sherlock. Zaira Speller. Olivia Suter. Hannah Wyatt. Ancient Studies, Virgilia Antonucci. Mary Tona. Anthropology, Vanessa Alvarez. Chloe Arnold. Therese Benoin. Julia Detter. Iona Forrester. Amina Gasevich. Saskia Ghosh. Mira Gordon. Samantha Greenspan. Isabella Guerra Uccelli. Pallavi Gupta. Marai Hathi Singh. Janine Liu. Charlotte Lucas. Sabrina Ma. Denise Manti. Sarah Mohammed. Nilofer Nobi. Idris O'Neill. Cleo Payne. Anna Pena. Bianca Ray. Sydney Rojas. Valentina Rojas Posada. Jane Rooks. Isabella Sarnoff. Beatrice Scott. Olivia Waterhouse. Faya Zaidi. Applied Mathematics, Tasneen Bashir. Ana Perez Villagomez. Gauri Tolvar. Architecture, Erin Ergen. Emma Lewis. Julia Lynn. Amora McConnell. Sophia Rodriguez. Mariah Veman. Art History, Annie Ablon. Lauren Anazeski. Peyton Ayers. Daisy Cedeno. Abigail Conran, Caroline Droof, Allegra Forbes, Catherine Gallagher, Eleanor Harrison, Kara Hudson Erdman, Gabrielle Lambert, Olivia Land, Sophia Levy, Jaisi Long, Camilla Lichko, Olivia Miller, Elizabeth Mullaney, Nicole Ostro, Sophia Perez, Genevieve Richardson, Bridget Reading, Ivana Rodriguez Rojas, Rachel Rutstein, Alison Salwin, Stephanie Shareba, Tuesday Smith, Audrey Ussery, Marina Ruogia Young, Xinwei Yao. Art History, Visual Arts, Naomi Chang, Ellen DeCesare, India Halstead, Alexis Eiffel, Brianna Lee, Elliot Morelli, Ruba Nadar, Noel Peñas, Jamie Sutton, Astra Varian, Evelyn Wolfley, Annie Yang, Chloe Zhang. Asian and Middle Eastern cultures, Zoe Ann Danstill, Michelle Jatan, Maggie Moran, Elena Salzman. Astronomy, Abigail Bora, Astrophysics, Pazit Rabinowitz, Marnie Rosenthal, Biology, Ellen Alt, Anissa Asif, Sani Borga, Stephanie Kalori, Irama Khan, Chi-Wen Chen, Vanessa Chirino, Ariana Chubak, Sarah Friedman, Aliza Gettenberg, Chelsea Glasser, Iman Hassan, Emily Herman, Sophia Howard, Carly Jankelowitz, Francis Kamara, Jewel Lee, Serena Maurice, Lila Olson Duffy, Anjali Paul, Ornella Pedroso, Deborah Rowe, Dylan Rutland, Alice Sardarian, Abigail Schreier. Biochemistry, Mehroz Ahmed, Spurti Balu, Pia Chakravarti, Sapir Flank, Mikkel Haves, Maya Jodidio, Amanda Klestzik, Sarah Beth Cooper Johnson, Sanjana Rana, Julia Robbins, Donna Ross, Yelise Seskin, Nicole Townsend. Chemistry, Erica Amamiya, Tasneem Elkush, Gzel Haidt, Isabel Hernandez Rodriguez, Maya Hoffman, Juliet Lee, Michelle Tingyu Lin, Dominique Macaluso, Emily Miura Semple, Jennifer Neola, Natasha Reach. Classics: Elizabeth McNamara, Aditi Rao, Brittany Zach. Comparative literature: Jack Julia Arnada Caldwell, Anastasia Akapova, Blythe Drucker, Jiling Gu, Qian Lu, Iris Sang, Elena Schalwig, Tianzhao Sheng, Zoe Wexler, Jessica Shi. Computer science: Pelin Chetin, Carolyn Chen, Ariella Cohen, Rena Factor, Samantha Farkish, Nicole Gomez, Tamana Hussein, Aliza Isaacs, Lucy LeBlanc, Sarah Leventhal, Laura Marin, Meghna Mehta, Ramisa Murshid, Rebecca Narin, Hariti Patel, Lauren Pham, Alexis Rabkin, Julia Reichel, Dina Rossman, Samantha Ross, Ria Saha, Pazit Schrecker, Sarah Seidman, Emma Vukelsch, Yuan Wang, Kimmy Wenzel, Gabriela Yusupov, Bingpu Zhao. Dance: Tessa Awalt Conley, Elise Logan, Zoe Novello, Sophia Vischer Lubineski. Economic and social history: Hannah Auerbach, Tina Barrios, Zoe Difflow, Sophia Gerasi, Riley Gallagher, Tina Gao, Kate Garza, Ilana Hafner, Madeline Heldman, Liel Cahen, Lan Nguyen, Ali Ni, Anika Sani, Ariel Sternfeld, Aliyah Simon Felix, Rachel Whitley. Economics: Bex Allen, Paulette Arnold, Taiba Abakoya, Hir Bakshi, Akshita Bhatia, Roberta Buchstab, Hongjia Chen, Ziswan Chen, Winsome Ching, Rosemary DiFrancisi, Lucy Dickerman, Claire DeMilo, Juliet Emerson Colvin, Annie Farrell, Laura Fernandez Musso, Anya Ferris, Sydney Fox, Yingjie Gao, Zoe Gelch, Audrey Godwin, Martha Gonzalez, Shanshan Guo, Nabila Haq, Sadiba Hassan, Anaga Havildar, Courtney Jacobs, Asta Jane, Ma Noor Jamal, Isabel Hallergy, Kobe Ray Johnson, Niti Kapadia, Caroline Kitchler, Colby Lamson Gordon, Samantha Lee, Yibing Liu, Mona Matsuda Brown, Kathari Ma, Kamini Menon, Salis Mensa Nar, Alexia Mevs, Claire Mildren, Maya Millward, Ohana Muhammad, Andrea Patella, Sandra Plotnick Sherry, Sarah Robb, Hiba Ruffy, Gianna Ramo, Gabrielle Ratzker, Laura Robert Rivera, Shinyi Shan, Maisha Shonar, Genevieve Spencer, Danny Stolova, Ung Zen Town, Jade Thompson, Belinda Tian, Hadassah Trahu, Jennifer Sue, Hawa Tunkara, Claire Wheeler, Claire Wooten, Monfei Xiu, Peyton Yen, Daniela Cristina Zekiru, Lillian Zhang, Stephanie Zheng, Yunxiao Zhong, Kathy Zhao, Xiaoyu Zhao. Economics and Mathematics, Camille Chu, Mary Elizabeth Dawson, Tian Gao, Samantha Hochstadt, Asha Mayer, Julie Seeger, Kwe Wan Yu, Economic Statistics, Shrisi Bashista, Anne Hua, Yvonne Liu, Mi Sun. Education Studies, Rosie Lichtenbaum. English, Claire Adler, Julia Balin, Morgan Becker, Julia Bentoncourt, Juliana Brenner, Belen Cahill, Winnie Chan, Isabel Draper, Gabrielle Edwards, Kennedy Ellender, Alexandria Farina, Catherine Ferrante, Carly Fredrickson, Phoebe Fry, Eliana Gail Schneider, Esther Goldberg, Sarah Hilligoss, Tamarin Hodge, Hannah Hornbuckle, Livia Hughes, Annie Yetzi, Erica Cam, Francesca Kelly, Kayla Koffler, Abigail Kosowski, Olivia Coalition, Emily Kramer, Sarah Leidick, Una McKinnon Hoban, Zoe Massey, Frances McCreary, Floriana Milazzo, Joanna Myrle, Maeve Murphy, Erin Neal, Matilda Nilsson, Chloe Oldham, Jasenia Puma, Hannah Rubenstein, Isabella Scatino, Marissa Schwartz, Isabel Stromberg, Mara Ward, Chelsea Wicklem, Leora Wolf, Hannah Zwick. English and History, Kaya Sarah Oppenheim, Environment and Sustainability, Olivia Ali, Sarah Blau, Ella Vogue, Anindita Das, Sarah Jathas, Sultana Mohammed, Avery Montgomery, Mia Sinha, Georgia Sparks, Cleo Tai, Olivia Visnick. Environmental Biology, Livia Martinez. Environmental Science, Sophia Fopa, Carolina Hoffenberg, Leah Jean-Francois, Elena Kosh, Sophia Lacambra, Sarah Ortiz, Emily Simons, Kelsey Wallins-Logan. Film Studies, Saida Anjum, Natasha Lerner, Sophie Levy, Sarah Lyon, Alexandra Michan, Aide Mejera, Cecilia Salusti, Natalie Sandman, Lucia Shaman, Sophie Simpson, Isabel Snow, Kayla Schreiber, Marina Wakil. French, Emily Talpi. French and Francophone Studies, Barbara De Silva. French, Translation and Literature, Quincy McShane, Carla Malaco. History and Theory of Architecture, Sophia Herring, Noah Weiss. History, Claudia Amadeo Late, Lillian Anderson, Tirza Anderson, Yasemin Icon, Rachel Banis, Tatiana Belova, Alexandra Burden, Yasmin Booth, Erin Bronner, Connie Kai, Candy Chan, Cassandra Clifford, Madeline Culpepper, Jillian Dawson, Alexandra Decamp, Chloe Dennison, Abigail Edelman, Gabrielle Feinstone, Michaela Flum, Zane Bria, Nabil Gutierrez, Sarah Harty, Danielle Hopkins, Sophia Hudegi, Allison Humphrey, Khadija Hussein, Julia Kastner, Amrita Khan, Caroline Neely, Sadie Kramer, Pagona Kitsidis, Courtney Lyons, Caitlin McCormick, Amina Nassif, Rebecca Pardue, Lydia Paris, Tessa Pelsman, Adina Rombro, Lauren Safir, Phoebe Sanders, Sarah Sasson, Maimuna Sissoko, Catherine Smith, Stephanie Stifelman, Annette Stonebarger, Catherine Zaborowska, Aliyah Zuberi. Information Science, Esme Ableza, Rachel Meyer, Rebecca Pizer. Linguistics, Kelsey Bialo, Anne Wynn, Ren Yoon. Mathematical Sciences, Sarah Busleiman, Claire Frio, Emily Huntsman, Maria Hihon, Amelia Milne, Meisho Zhang. Mathematics, Margaret Comstock, Audrey Hsu. Mathematics, Computer Science, Ziqi Wang. Mathematics, Statistics, Xiaoron Jian. Medical Humanities, Simone Advani. Medieval and Renaissance Studies, Sweta Bulukoglu. Music, Ethnomusicology, Paisley Smith. Neuroscience and Behavior, Arwa Adib, Elizabeth Beer, Diana Bach, Jessica Banor, Yvette Carvajal, Samantha Chong, Rebecca Sivan, Dersitu Dureso, Catherine Fasano, Maytal Galler, Shauna Gershbaum, Tien Griffin, Rachel Hart, Nicole Hines, Estelle Hofgartner, Sarah Irfan, Minna Jayaswal, Rebecca Khan, Emily Coe, Liliana Ladner, Gina McCormick, Megan Metler, Famida Moni, Jennifer Morales, Anna Moscow, Gabriela Ortiz, Jamie Rieger, Gabriela Sayun, Samantha Simpson, Chelsea Sinclair, Aji Nene Sissoko, Marielena Samara, Gabriela Swartz, Alina Teshlitsky, Anastasia Velikovskaya, Claudia Weiss, Nicole Zeidman, Vivian Zhou. Philosophy, Otto Hibbett, Molly Kelleher, Nicole Kestenberg, Sophie Nettesheim. Physics, Alexis Demersion, Zoe Webb-Mack. Political Science, Ava Adams, Qatar Afif, Abigail Altman, Kalila Barracks, Jenna Bergman, Sejda Bey, Naomi Booth, Adele Clemens, Lucy Cooper, Sol Coram, Laura Cortez, Haley Dobin, Sonia Eisman, Sophia Escalante, Emily Falsing, Talia Feingold, Ellie Furukawa, Rebecca Goodsey, Nura Hassan, Amelia Haynes, Elizabeth Herman, Mitchin Huang, Allison Kahn, Hannah Katz, Carolyn Kelly, Emily Ma, Anna Makowski, Kylie Meyer, Vanessa Missan, Janine Nassar, Daphne Ordonez, Reina Patel, Catherine Peterson, Allison Flug, Sosan Rowag, Anne Rennes, Adara Rosenbaum, Jasila Salam, Ria Sani, Abigail Smith, Grace Steele, Iga Schlendak, Elena Tyertz, Julia Tekotsky, May Vichika. Psychology, Kayla Ablin, Begum Babar, Natalia Benitez, Hannah Benton, Aliza Bluestein, Fatima Lourdes Burgos Enriquez, Emma Chen, Sophia Delaney, Hannah Fish, Jordan Giddley, Emiliana Glasser, Olivia Green, Allison Greenberg, Natalie Guerra, Shayna Gutman, Jiang Yan Han, Kristen Hand, Jihad Hassan, Maya Hertz, Fausia Hussein, Saida Hussein, Sukun Chung, Kimberly Katz, Kahyun Kim, Sumin Ko, Claire Lee, Veronica Leifer, Chloe Levin, Beatrice Lintner, Flasha Delina Liana Sarang Archie Gaydon, Tanya Malik, Anush Manukian, Sarai Michelle, Riley Mullen, Madeline Nelkin, Gabrielle Obregon, Julia Pappas, Sora Park, Pallavi Pemaretti, Deanna Price, Sophia Raff, Yael Rayport, Lauren Rodriguez, Rachel Rothbaum, Sylvie Sanders, Alexandra Shern, Julia Schwartz, Medina Shaw, Alana Silber, Maria Luz Adriana Silerio, Rebecca Simonoff, Sophie Smike, Wenqi Song, Alice Steisen, Jeanette Sepanbardina, Zainab Teherali, Mabel Tia, Haley Ward, Emily Weinstein, Taylor Williams, Sabrina Ye. Religion, Shaya Diornano, Grace Holloman, Zakia Laka, Tianyu Pamela Liu, Mona Velesvik. Russian Language and Literature, Catherine Corrigan. Russian Regional Studies, Elise Schlecht. Sociology, Tara Abularaj, Julia Banaj, Charlotte Chandler, Tiffany Cheng, Marina Chiaramonti, Christina Chen, Amber Chong, Emma Rose Cook, Isha Dave, Asela Eatonson, Shira Farbman, Nastasias Volkonsis, Niantang Gong, Victoria Gutierrez, Sophie Hout, Laura Howard, Sidra Imam, Hallie Jacobs, Sonia Kim, Emily Liberator, Rachel Luau, Yuanjin Ma, Roxana Pasquier, Ana Rael, Danielle Reiser, Jasmine Sabadosa, Nafisa Said, Naya Sanderford, Megan Simmons, Jasmine Torres Pinon, Spanish and Latin American cultures, Emily Dellett, Esther Leah Dillon, Maha Khan, Amelia Langer, Catherine Sandoval, Theater, Eliza Duknujan, Alexandra Haddad, Hope Johnson, Daphne Liu, Perry Parsons, Jacqueline Stroud, Yiming Wang, Urban Studies, Mariana Butte, Luisa Rose Berti, Rana Bickle, Eliza Buttrick, Gabriela Caligaris, Melissa Choi, Fatumata Doumbia, Juliette Harosh, Meredith Harris, Antonia Holton Raphael, Nasreen Hussein, Gabriella Caspi, Orla Kelly, Joy Tinyan Lee, Francesca Levithan, Liliana Lusbrock, Yuki Mitsuda, Una O'Brien Taupin, Venetia Farrell, Tiana Schiappa Pietra, Adrian Silk, Elisa Tulek, Elizabeth Wallach, Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies, Alea Carr, Lucy Danger, Liz Irvin, Rachel Melliker, Priscilla Putzer, Mia Rolfe, Merav Schwartz, Jenna Ruth Zucker, Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies and Visual Media, Eliza Zhuan.
It will be my privilege, acting on the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees and on behalf of the faculty of Barnard College, to present these students just named at the Columbia University Commencement Ceremony to be held tomorrow morning for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. I would like to invite the senior class to join in the singing of the Alma Mater.
There's a college on a hilltop that's very dear to me, and a certain group of students with ties of camaraderie. So we'll sing to dear old Barnard, and loyal be and true, as we show to coming classes how we love the white and blue. When the day has come for parting and college days are o'er, there will always be a fondness for the good old days of yore. And we'll sing to dear old Barnard as in memory we see the college on a hilltop where our classmates used to be.
I declare this 129th ceremony of the presentation of Barnard candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degree adjourned.
I'd give the power to the people, everybody would be equal. Fight Club would have a sequel, and my rent would be much cheaper. Jenny wouldn't hate her figure when she's small or when she's bigger. She'd be kissing on the mirror, and the Wi-Fi would be quicker. Everybody would recycle, fewer cars and more bicycles. No more fighting for survival. You would hear this song on vinyl. If I rule the world, if I rule the world, rule the world, rule the world. If I rule the world, if I rule the world, rule the world, rule the world. You'd see a doctor if you're sick. Mary, don't you worry about it, 'cause there'd be no crazy bill. No more $1,000 pills, and age would be a source of pride. You've got beautiful laugh lines. 9 to 5 includes your nap time, and there'd be TED Talks at halftime. All the sexist, racist bandits would be sent off for rehabbing, and instead of feeding fear, we'd be feeding half the planet. Damn it! If I rule the world, if I rule the world, rule the world, rule the world. If I rule the world, if I rule the world, rule the world, rule the world. If I rule, it would be less about me, more about you. More about you. If I ruled, it would be less about me, more about you, more about you. We'd be kind to refugees, plant more trees in inner cities. We'd bus kids to see.